Hello, everybody, and welcome back. So today we're going to talk about awakening. I mean, that's pretty much what we always talk about, but we talk about awakening or, clearing or some combination of awakening and clearing and all that. But we want to talk about it a little differently here today. We want to, because the reason we got to talk about it differently is that the way it's being talked about apparently is not working. We got a zillion videos on how to wake up, and there's must be 100,000 books out there on how to wake up, and there are talks and retreats, and there are all kinds of meetings. There are whispered secrets. I mean, it seems like everybody is talking about awakening, but of course, we're just talking about the tiny little percentage of us. But the tiny little percentage of us, hell, we're all talking about awakening. So my question is, since there's all this talk and writing and everything about awakening, how come everybody's not awake? It's a damn reasonable question to ask, isn't it? There's all this teaching, and there's been this teaching. We had teachings for thousands of years about how to wake up. And we still, we're in the 21st century. Hell, we still can't get it. So why is it that everybody's not awake? So, and let me just say that, why is it that everybody is not consciously awake? Let me put it that way. That way I can be a little more honest. And not that there's any surprises really coming, but there might be some insights that you may find helpful. So Skillful Means starts, just breaking into a commercial here. Skillful Means starts Saturday, the 22nd of January. And going to run for 3 Saturdays, and you have 3 more days to sign up, and that's about it. So what is it today, Thursday, and Friday? Yeah, three days to sign up. So go ahead and get to it. If you sign up Saturday morning, that'll be okay too. So now let's get back to what we're here to talk about. So what I'm thinking is that since all of this how to awaken stuff doesn't appear to be very effective, maybe what we're missing is a discussion on how awakening doesn't work. See, this was my big discovery back in 2012. I had been awake, several years already. Well, actually, I was already waking people up. So I guess it was my discovery back in 2010. That's when I started waking up, but it didn't become a formal methodology, if you will, until it really wasn't even 2012, 2013, the spring of 2013. That's when that I really kicked off in a larger way into being a teacher and presenting something that would help people wake up. I didn't have the name Awakening Session at that time, and nothing. I hadn't thought it through that much, hadn't marketed it that much, and what I call direct pointing sessions. And one of these things that I have learned over the years from direct pointing sessions to awakening sessions, to skillful means sessions, to out of the rabbit hole sessions, and clarity sessions, and God almighty, just everything under the earth. What I've learned is this: it's almost impossible to believe. It's not really that difficult to find out, but it's almost impossible to believe the truth of who you are unless you have first discovered the truth of who you are not. Sounds backwards, but hell, this whole thing is backwards. So how awakening doesn't work? Let's go into it. Well, one of the ways that it doesn't work, one of the backwards ways that awakening doesn't work, is that it doesn't wake you up. Well, it wakes you up, but not the one you think you are. See, you're thinking you're that unit over there. I know you are. I know you are. You can't fool me. Even most of you who say they aren't are, right? It's the truth. So, I mean, I deal with it every single day of my life. So, I mean, I don't want to say I'm an authority, but I want to say that I have a vast experience in the field. So the way that what we think is that the character, the Fred unit, for instance, or the character or the unit character, some combination of those two, we think that's what's going to wake up. In other words, I thought that Fred Davis was going to wake up. I was convinced of that. I thought Fred Davis was going to wake up, and I thought that that was really going to be a feather in Fred Davis's cap. That would make Fred Davis cooler and more attractive, and all of that. And it might be a doorway to riches. I didn't know, but I was waiting for Fred Davis to wake up. Well, there's no Fred Davis to wake up. So that couldn't happen. There was no possibility that a Fred Davis could wake up, because there was no possibility, and still there is no possibility, that there's a Fred Davis. There just isn't one. So take it from the thing that thought it was one, that actually thought it was this, just this. That's what I thought. I thought it was just this. When I say just this, I don't mean just this, I mean just this. one, I just thought that I was just this one little guy. That's what I thought. And that's what I'm thinking through your body. See, because what's talking to you is awakeness. Fred Davis can't talk to you because there isn't one. It's a Fred Davis channel, but that's all a scam. I'm awakeness, and so are you. And through this body, I've seen very clearly that I am not this body. And what I'm trying to do is to help myself over there come to see clearly that I'm not that body either, which means you're not that body, which means the body is not you. I much prefer that way to look at it, because we start with the truth, which is the body is not you. So it helps. It's a better way of dissociating than the other way around. See, a lot of backward stuff really works here. So one of the ways that awakening doesn't work is when you are absolutely convinced that you already know how awakening works. And most of the people that come to me, I had a pretty good idea of how awakening worked until I woke up. And once awakening occurred, I realized I was not even close. I didn't have a snowball's chance in hell of waking up the way that I had anticipated, because the way that I had anticipated it wasn't available, which this unit didn't wake up. I thought this unit was going to wake up. I was sure of it. This is a Fred Davis, and I am this body, right? And this body is a Fred Davis. That's the unquestioned assumption throughout our lives, isn't it? What if that's not true? What if, they've been telling you that you're not the body, you're not the body, you're not the body ever since you started non-duality. And what have you been trying to do ever since you started non-duality? Wake up the body, wake up the body, wake up the body. Or wake up the character, wake up spirit, whatever it is you want to call yourself, okay? But when we say spirit, what we're talking about is my soul, right? There's still an owner there, we're talking about, because we talk about my soul, and we say, I don't know nothing of souls. I know nothing of my. I will use the word my, but don't think I ever believe it. I use the word my because it's a key part of our language. So is you, me, I, them, they, all of these pronouns, they're an important part of the language, but none of these words are actually true. Him, her, not true. Yeah, over there, that's not true. Actually, I don't want to go too far because I'll just start confusing you. So since it's not that body or that mind that's going to wake up, because see, a lot of times we can think, okay, I'm not the body, but I am my thoughts. I am the body, the mind. I am these thoughts are mine. Well, that's a false reference because there's no mind. There's no mind to back that up. I may still say, well, it's my understanding, folks, but that's that mind. It's a false reference. There's nothing behind that. There's no mind. There's no me. Because all of that smacks of individuality, and there's no individuality. Although there is an apparent independent body over here, isn't there? You can tell that this is a Fred, and you can tell that this isn't. You can tell that this isn't a Fred, although Fred will bear a lot in common with this thing. Not that long from now. So what I'm telling you is, don't know so damn much. Because you know what you are, you know who you are, you know where, and you know how awakening works, and you're just coming over here to just see. And it really, sometimes it's like people get a session with me, and it's like they're checking to see if I know. Nothing to do with them. They already know. They're just kind of trying to confirm my awakening instead of me confirming theirs. And my awakening's been confirmed. Right. So it's been confirmed by awakeness and by a couple of teachers. And I just really think that that's plenty. So I think, and I've been teaching publicly for, hell, this is my 12th year and my 10th year. It's my 12th year, and it is my, God almighty, is it? It can't be. When did I start on the internet? 1990. It's my 10th year on the internet. Unbelievable. I wrote my first book, published it in 2012, and I began, I did a little promotional videos for it. So I've been around. We don't need to confirm my awakening. You either accept it or you don't. And if you don't come talk to me. Please, right? Just save us both the agony. Because if you already know what awakening is and how it feels and what true nature looks like and all of this stuff, you ain't going to wake up until you come to unknow that stuff. Inevitably, people, before they come to talk to me, they'll ask Betsy, they'll say, is there anything I need to do to prepare for my session with Fred? And she will tell them, Fred, is there anything they need to do? And I tell her the same damn thing every time, but she's kind enough to ask. But I tell her the same thing pretty much every time, which is they tell them they don't need to do a damn thing, just bring an open mind and a sense of humor. So that's what I'm suggesting you have. And these people that come to me that if you have no sense of humor, I probably can't help you. I'm sorry. That's just the truth of it. And I'm just killing myself out here. I know that, but this is the truth. If you just don't have any sense of lightness in life, you don't have any sense of humor, you're just burned to the bone, I probably am not the guy for you to talk to. There's some guys out there that'll be happy to get in that ditch with you, but I won't. I won't recognize a you in a ditch. What I recognize is arrogance and self and selfing. And I don't mean that you're intentionally arrogant. I'm just saying that the idea that you are the special seeker that I have not talked to yet is crazy. What have I talked to you? I mean, maybe a couple of thousand, one-on-one. I'm sure 1,500, right? Well, and more than a couple of thousand if you count groups. I mean, way more than a couple of thousand. But one-on-one here on Zoom, or a little bit in person when I first started, and then I saw the inefficiency of all that because this teaching's one-on-one. there was no point in my going around and giving talks to people if I couldn't have this one-on-one, because this message is very simple, but it's tricky as hell. That's the truth. Waking up is very, very simple, but it is tricky as hell. So I want to help you get through this. So in this finding out how awakening doesn't work, let's just start with you coming to a session without knowing everything up front. Because the people who do not wake up with me are the people that sit over there, and there's not a lot, but there's some. And they'll sit over there and they get, yeah, I know. Yeah, I know this. Yeah, I've seen this. Right. Well, then the truth is, I know that you don't know it. I know that you have not seen it, because you would not be in the room with me presently if you were seeing it now. And enlightenment is all about right now. Are you awake right now? If not, you're not awake. Doesn't mean that you haven't had an awakening experience. It doesn't mean that there's not a great deal of wakefulness over there and all that and the other, but it means you're not awake. Because awakeness, because you are awakeness. That's what it is you are awakeness. And see, that's something that you don't know. You think you might know that. No, he's told me I'm awakeness, and I know I'm awakeness. I don't even know what the hell awakeness is. So how are you so confident that you know what awakeness is, right? It's something that I can't talk to you straight about, because there's nothing other than it to talk about it. So this is it talking. This is also it listening. And this is it going, oh my God, this is great. Or this is me that's going, what the hell is he talking about? It's all me. The same thing that's looking through these eyes is exactly the same thing that's looking through yours. There is one consciousness. Count them. One consciousness. There's not zillions of consciousnesses. The consciousness in my dogs is exactly the same consciousness here. The consciousness in my wife is exactly the same consciousness here. The consciousness in my postman is exactly the same consciousness here. And that goes for every spiritual seeker in the whole damn world. And spiritual teachers, as a matter of fact, goes for them. There's nobody getting out of this thing. Everybody on the planet, every sentient being on the planet shares the same consciousness. It's just one of them. The oneness. You mean they're talking about one consciousness? It's yeah, we're talking about one consciousness. That's what we're saying. I mean, other than the one consciousness that you're using to listen to this, how many are other consciousness says, are you sure about? None. You're just not sure. You don't know about that. What I want to tell you is that come to unknow. Because see, you think, I know what you think. You tell me what you think every day. I had a session with a great client of mine, and he's very bright, and he's an awakened being. And we were into some very subtle sort of, what I call high level stuff. I don't know what that means, but it was stuff that I don't talk about with just everybody, because everybody just can't understand it, right? And for me to talk about stuff at a very, very high level with people who can't hear it, it is the old thing of, and this is not insulting, pearls before swine. It just means that pigs don't need pearls, right? Pigs don't need jewelry. They can't identify with jewelry. It's not, oh, you're a pig or anything like that. But that's what Jesus meant when he said pearls before swine, is that, put a pearl necklace around a pig, you still got a pig. You put it around a chicken, you'll still have a chicken. So we share this one single consciousness. And sometimes somebody will say, well, Fred, since we're sharing the same consciousness, how come I don't know everything? No, you do know everything. How about that? But you don't know it through any single unit. See, wherever there is consciousness, in the vast frozen north or the vast frozen south, where there are wolves and penguins, right? And that's about it. And wolves or Arctic foxes and white rabbits up the north, and penguins and stuff, and killer whales down, whatever, down in Antarctica. It's just one consciousness. I'm seeing through the penguins because I am the penguins. And so are you. I am not I can't say I'm not the penguins, because I am the only thing that is. So that doesn't mean I'm the only thing that is except for these damn penguins. It means I'm everything that is, including these wonderful penguins and including these wonderful Arctic foxes, right? I am everything, period. I am also every tree. I'm every bush. And I am every rock. And I can't tell you that the rock is not conscious. I'm just going to tell you that if it is, it's conscious in some way that I can't measure. But it is conscious. It is made out of consciousness, because if there's no sense of being, you can't experience a rock. See, the very thing that is experiencing this teaching is the thing that's waiting for this teaching to make sense. It's the very thing that's experiencing this teaching right now is the same exact thing that's teaching this teaching, if you will. There's no real teaching. There's no student. There's no student over there, and there's no teacher over here. No follower over there, and no teacher over here. There's no teacher. How about that? What kind of teacher is that? Tell me there's no teacher. That is an honest teacher. Call him what you will. He's an honest guy. These days, I'm not telling you that. I was always, the epitome of kindness and joy and all that crap. I was pretty much a scoundrel, but this is an honest guy over here now. I've just found him to be so. Weird as it is. I mean, I understand why you don't understand, why you don't get it. I don't get it either. Whatever it is that I am, I mean, because there's nothing special about this body. It's just a lucky ass unit. It's a lucky unit that awakeness came calling and decided to use this unit as a megaphone, right? That's what this is, the megaphone. And I'm calling out to the crowds with my megaphone, and the crowds are me, and the megaphone is me, and the air that the sound waves travel in, that's me. See, this is the idea of one thing, is that there's just one thing when there's just one thing. And I know that that's radical. But when you're the one thing, don't be waiting for something else to happen. I know I have to be oneness, Fred, and that's and I know that intellectually it's just not my experience. Bullshit. I'm sorry, but I gotta be candid here. I gotta tell you the truth. Why? I don't know, because I can't tell you what's not true anymore. I just can't. So I'm forced to tell you the truth. Very disappointing for me. I've turned into a much nicer guy than I planned to. That's the truth. I had very much limitations and goals and everything else for this awakening. And what I found out is this awakening didn't occur to anybody. And therefore, guess what? It's not about anybody either. This is not my awakening. Not if I'm speaking as a unit, not if I'm speaking as a Fred. It's my awakening only if I speak as awakeness itself. And that is who is talking to you. This is awakeness. You are awakeness. You, the one that's sitting over there thinking, oh, he doesn't mean me. I'm not, I mean you. I mean, you and the dog that you wrote in on or whatever. Pardon my blowing of the joke, but it doesn't matter. Everything counts, but nothing matters. I spoke with a well-known spiritual teacher this past Sunday. I had never met her, but I have long admired her in all the proper ways and none of the improper ways. And while we were talking, I told her my daily mantra, which is that everything counts, but in the end, nothing matters. And she went, "Oh, that's beautiful." See, I've used it with you a bunch of times, and most of you haven't heard it yet. She heard it instantly. Because I was going to come in behind her and say something, and she went, I said, "Oh, you hear that?" She went, "Yeah." I said, "Oh, great." Because it was true enough that she could recognize it, but it's not true enough that everybody can recognize it, because nothing is going to help everybody. This teaching isn't for everybody. It's presently for you. We know that because you're listening to it. So don't think you should be somewhere else, because you are not somewhere else. You're right here. And for this moment, even though there's no teacher here, this is your teaching, right? This is your teaching for right now until you discard it for something else, which is fine. You can discard it. I mean, I don't have I'm not claiming a monopoly on anything. I know that there are people out there who are claiming monopolies. I've heard about some, I've heard from some. But they gotta peddle that to somebody that'll believe it. There's no way to think that there's some units can get it and some that can't, because units don't get it. Units don't wake up. So how can this unit be awake and that unit not be awake? These are units. They're walking cadavers. They are bodies. They are corpses in waiting. You are the animating presence. And for the sake of, if we want to play by the oneness metaphor, we could say that you are also this body and all bodies, but you're not one particular body. But we can go beyond even oneness, but maybe we won't in this particular video. Oneness will do you. It's oneness that I'm trying to get you to, is the radical recognition that you cannot be anything other than oneness. But I know, Fred, what you're telling me is I've got no idea what you're talking about. Every time somebody comes to me and they start going, "I know," early on, it's fine later, but but they won't say it later. They'll go, oh. When every time somebody comes to me and they say, "Yeah, I know that. Yeah, I've looked into that, Fred. I've looked into that. I'm clear on that." And I know that if they had looked into it the way that they need to look into it, they would already be clear and they wouldn't be in front of me, right? And I work with awakened beings all the time. There's a lot of wakefulness over there, but there's just not much in the way of clarity. And I'm very familiar with this circumstance because I spent a lot of time there myself early on. I surely did. And I thought that I knew so much. But now the funny thing is, 15, 16 years later, I don't know squat. How about that? I don't know all that stuff I used to know. And I can tell you that back then that I had long periods of suffering in post-awakening. And I don't have those now. Those are not experienced through this body now. Let's be clear. This is awakeness speaking. It's not a body speaking to you. A body is what's flapping the lips. This is my puppet. And this puppet is talking to that puppet. And I am the animating presence in this puppet, that puppet, and all the other puppets. I am the energetic force. But, mass, the scientists tell us, that's stored energy. So there's just this energy, stored or unstored, stored or active, right? So don't believe that you know. Come here because you don't know, or go whatever teacher you go to. You don't have to come here, whatever teacher you're drawn to. But if you can hear this teaching, then come here. If you really, wow, I get it, he's really clear, that means that you can hear what I'm saying, and that's your miracle, is finding a teacher, so to speak, finding a teacher that you can hear. That's what did it for me. I found a teacher that I could sort of hear, and I spent a lot of times following him, but I never really heard him. But I heard the next one. I heard the next one very clearly. And then I got to where I want, that I wasn't hearing as much through that one as I had been. It was kind of a diminishing returns. And along the way, of course, I had dipped into, several other things. But ultimately, I found my teacher, Mr. Gadata, and I could hear what he said. And that's the miracle. I could hear what he said. I could hear the living teacher too. And he's a great teacher and a good guy. I could hear him too, but I got to where there was a lot of words and there was a lot of clarity, but it was outweighed by the words. And that's not anything wrong with that. He can't speak any more plainly like that and talk to a large group. That's the way of it, is that the larger the teaching, the more words there are going to be, because they can't do one-on-one. This is their calling, is to speak to the masses. Great. This is the little teaching. I talk to comparatively, and I talk a great deal one-on-one. It can only get so big, but it's clear I don't have to dance around with you, because most of you have already worn out those other teachings and teachers. You've tried them, and if they had worked, you wouldn't be here. Well, and they might have worked enough to where you woke up. Great. But you were not noticed that there was not much in the way of a path to clearing up. That you might have noticed that. Maybe it's somebody that they got a great path over there. Okay, I don't know. But what I have discovered is that there is no path to awakening. So if you are on the path to awaken, you are on the path of delusion. Doesn't mean you can't follow a teaching. There are plenty of people that follow this one. But I don't teach a path to awakening. I teach a path to clearing. I don't have a path to awakening because typically people wake up the first time they talk to me. That's just historically. That's the way it goes. It's been going like that ever since 2010. It's not anything that I pulled out of my bag of tricks. It's just something that happened, right? It's just something that happened. There was something that happened here in 2006, and then there was a few years of maturity, and then there was the thought that I would be a teacher, a desire to be a teacher, and then there was the absolutely clear recognition that I did not want to be a teacher, immediately followed by the fact that I became a teacher because I couldn't not. It wasn't about me. It wasn't my choice. It chose me, but it didn't choose me until I abandoned it. By which I mean the egoic desire to be the spiritual teacher, all-powerful spiritual teacher. I had to give that up. And it's a good thing I gave it up, because it's not true now. This is not an all-powerful spiritual teacher. This is a lucky unit. That's what this is. And this lucky unit is trying to pass the luck. Everybody else trying to pass the buck. I'm trying to pass the luck. I'm trying to pass this on to you. I'm trying to pass this on to you so that you understand what doesn't work. And what doesn't work is saying, I know, I get it. You cannot imagine what I go through in an awakening session with some people. And we're really in a little bit with everybody, even though they may be on board with me, but a little bit with everybody, because what I have to do is I have to tell them So this is going to require a little bit of humility, and that's what I don't find. Is that it comes here already knowing. There's that story of the Zen student and the Zen master, and they were having tea, and the Zen master poured tea into the student's cup, and he poured it up to the top, and then he just kept pouring, and then Zen. This is the fast story, and the Zen student said, "Oh my God, quit pouring! It's all going over the edges, over the cup. I mean, over the saucer, over the tray." And the Zen master said, "Yeah, that's the way you come to me. You come to me full. There's no place for me to put anything. And when you come to me already knowing, there's no place for me to put anything. Anything I say just runs over the sides of the cup, runs down across the saucer, runs onto the tray, and then onto the ground. I can't do what I say I can't do, but it can't happen that way. It just can't happen that way. So humility is really the key. And in order to achieve a little humility, you're going to have to figure out something. When you come and you get in this room for me, you may be the smartest person in the room, but you may not be. And I know you're smart. You wouldn't be here with me if you weren't. But don't be believing that you're the smart one and this one's an idiot. Okay? It's not an idiot. It has a large brain. I can't show it to you, but if I could, I would, because I've got that much vanity left. Don't think there's no ego here. There is. I'm keenly aware of it, and I don't really take it very seriously, or do a lot to accommodate it, but I do some to accommodate it, right? Fixed my hair this morning. Why did I do that? Because there's ego here, and I want to look nice. Because I want to present a presentable package so that you don't reject me on my haircut, because I've been rejected on for less. That's the truth. I have. Humility means that I come with the full recognition that whatever it is that I know ain't enough. Whatever it is that I know hasn't worked. Whatever it is that I know is not a path, it's a wild goose chase. That's what you need to know. And then you need to even unknow that and say, I don't even know what that means. That's good. Because if I were to share with you what I know, you won't need to take notes. I don't know very much at all. Socrates said he didn't know anything. I don't know if I'm in the same league as Socrates, but I will tell you that I don't know much. I don't even know what it is that doesn't know much. Awakening doesn't work with your knowing. Awakening does not work because you finally, at last, dear Jesus, I understand it. Well, if you do, if you do, you're not awake. You're just not what I mean by that is you're not a consciously awake being. You are awakeness itself. And when we're talking about awakeness, that sounds kind of like energetic or something, doesn't it? Do you notice that there's a sense of aliveness over there through that body right now? Do you notice that there's a sense of aliveness in there? You know that there is, or you wouldn't be able to hear this. You wouldn't be able to think that you know it or think that you can understand it. There has to be a sense of aliveness over there, a raw sense of aliveness, not a sense of being this or that or the other. No particularity, but just a sense of being. There's a sense of existence. what can exist without this first, this having this sense of existence? Absolutely nothing. There's no consciousness there. No consciousness, no story. No story to laugh about, no story to wail over. There's just no story. No consciousness equals an absence of experience. Quit trying to make the absence of an experience, because it is not. The absence of experience is not unto itself an experience. You hit the wall. And this wall is as close to knowing as you get. And I love to hit this wall with people. I hit this wall with the client that I had just before this. She's very brightly awake, very clear. And she and I get together and we hit that wall. Yeah, and you make a difference what we talk about. We're going to hit that wall, but we're talking about teaching, and we're talking about how to reach people, and we're talking about how to share this message. And guess what? Then we know that we know that we can't experience it, but it sort of feels like we can feel it. And what is it that feels it? It. But don't even go there. That'll just be confusing. Assume that there's something even beyond this. About what if there's, because all the spiritual teachers didn't get together and create the world. And I'm not saying the world was created, but I am saying it happened. Well, actually, I'm saying it appears. I'm not saying it happened, because nothing ever happened. And I did just step over the boundary of where I said I wanted to go. So I'm not going to expand on that. You just have to take my word for it. Now, actually, I'd prefer that you forgot that was even said. I really would. And you'd be better off to forget that I just said that, because it'll confuse you. What we're interested in trying to get you to is a recognition that there's just one thing. Is there any possible way that you're not it? No. Trying to understand this. The client that I had earlier this morning, who's also a teacher, and we hit it off very well. We talk freely. It's an excellent relationship. And we were talking about understanding, and I said, the only thing that you can do is abandon the attempt to understand this. What if instead of trying to figure this out, you were to figure out that you can't figure this out? That's from a whole new, whole different direction. Quit trying to understand what non-duality really means, where it's going, what it's about. Quit trying to figure out how you can have that non-dual experience. Just give up on that, because once you wake up, you will see that is pure. Well, I mean, I don't want to insult anybody. So when I say ignorant, I don't mean that you're awful or dumb and don't have a good IQ or anything like that. But I'm going to tell you that it is only ignorance that is chasing an understanding of this. There is something called the understanding, which teachers sometimes talk about, students sometimes talk about, but when we talk about that understanding, we use a capital U to indicate that what we're discussing is divinity. And you know what the only thing is that can discuss divinity is? Divinity itself, because there ain't nothing else. And what does divinity mean? It means that wall. Now, you and I have hit that wall with divinity. Explain that. What if it's not explainable? Well, do you understand that? Hell no. And I don't want to. Because if I understand that, there'll be an understander, and the experience of truth will cease. When you have had, for many of you have had glimpses, and it feels like, God, I just got to hang on to that. But when you cling, just imagine that when you're trying to pull in, I want you to have a visual. And when you're trying to pull that awakening in, so that you can keep that frame of mind or whatever, what you're doing is you're pushing it away from yourself as hard as you can. Honest to God's truth. You know, this is one of those videos where I could just go on forever, but I don't think I will. And I have no idea how long I've been talking because I haven't been talking. I just don't have any idea how long awakeness has been using this puppet to talk to that puppet. But I'll find out shortly when I click off, and I'm going to go ahead and do that. Come to satsang, it'll change your life. Hello. Come to satsang, stay a while. It will change your life. It's done it for many, many. I've seen people clear from nothing but satsang. Sadly, from my bank account. I much prefer them to go the awakening session way, but other people have just come to satsang. There's a guy who lives in Washington State who is currently living in North Carolina. He'll know it, who he is when he hears this. And he is currently waking up. It's a process there. There's been an event, but it was, you know, it's not a huge thing of an event. It was the event that you think, well, now is that it? I mean, I want more than that, and which is an argument with what is, isn't it? Do not know that an argument with what is what will overcome your misunderstanding of what is. You can't win that argument because there's only what is. But when I say what is, I mean way beyond what, I mean way beyond manifestation. I digress. I love you very much. Come to satsang. If this is your day, come to Skillful Means and come meet me Saturday. I can't promise you that you'll come to find out who you are, but I certainly can't promise you that you won't. Many have. Be well. Be kind. Bye-bye.